Respected Thầy and dear Sangha, good morning everyone. Breathing in, I recognize it's beautiful outside. The weather so warm and sunshine. Breathing out, I aware we have many friends, good friends, the good people around the world right here in this hall. I invite you to listen 3 sounds of the bell. When you hear the sound of the bell, please aware of your breathing, aware of everything, all condition right here and right now around you. The weather, the tree, and the Sangha, the people know how to practice around you and support you. Dear friends, again we would like to welcome all of you to come here today. I know some of you just come here for the day of mindfulness, right? Please raise your hand if you just come this morning. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming and practice with us. The brother sit on the bell today. This morning, Phap Lee, his friend, he also speak English. If you like, you can come and talk to him. And he, from time to time, he will invite a bell of the sound for us to breathe. This time also a time for us to practice sitting meditation. It is joyful to practice together. And I am aware that my next to me is my good friend of Blue Cliff, Valerie Prowse. She's come here and help us to open the retreat and organize retreat many times. And my name is Prophet Black. I'm just a lazy monk. I live here. That means you get my message. Everything she will cover. She give a talk today. So dear friend, I remember kind of long times ago. At that time, I was in California, and my father he went to the temple, Vipassana temple, to practice sitting meditation in Vipassana tradition. And on the last day, I came to the temple, pick him up, bring him home. On the last day, I went to the meditation hall and sat down right at the door, next to the door, and listened to the Zen master. He gave a talk. He also talk about breathing in, breathing out. The abdomen raise up when you're breathing in, and when breathing out, the abdomen going down, and aware of our body, aware of our breathing. And then later, when my father passed away, like more than 10 years, my mother came also the same temple, practiced the same tradition, and also on the last day, I came to pick her up, bring her home. I also came to the meditation hall. I sat down at exactly the place where I sat before. And the Zen master came. He also gave the same talk, almost the same talk, breathing in, breathing out. You know, at that time, like 10 years later, the same talk. And I have a question, why is that? And I'm sure he know that. He repeat over and over again many times. At that time, I realized how important the practice for us to remember, for us to practice and do it for ourselves. And the same today too. My message is nothing new. We all practice together, breathing in and breathing out, aware of our body, aware of our mind. And you know this Plum village traditions, we also practice, we call mindfulness. Mindfulness is the energy to helping you to recognize what happened inside of you and around you. And mindfulness is a source of happiness. Why is that? So let's breathe together, and we hear another sound, the bell. So just when we breathe in and breathe out, I would like to invite you to do just concentrate on 2 words, calm and relax. Calm your mind, relax our body, or calm our body, relax our mind. You will hear one sound of the bell, so we can breathe together. Don't forget to smile. You know, on the last few days, the theme of this retreat, we We call this as four immeasurable minds. We already learned, or we already heard our brother and sister share about loving kindness, maitri, compassion. This morning, I would like to share a little bit about joy. And the last one is equanimity. Joy is mudita in Sanskrit, and equanimity is upeksha. Just here for fun, don't worry. You know, when you practice mindfulness, when your mind and your body are one, and you will feel it. You will feel your heart beating. You will feel some sound came from your ear, and you will feel the energy flowing in you. And I would like to invite you to use that energy again to nourish our body, our mind. Like we just practice calm and relax. And the same here, the practice of mindfulness is we bring mindfulness, we are aware of what happened around us. We use mindfulness to aware we have a blue sky, we have good weather today. We recognize, we are aware, we have good friends around. And we need something to remind us all the time. So we have many conditions to be joy and happy. So when we practice, we can bring joy to our body, our mind, so we can offer joy to the other. I'm sure you sometimes you sit with your friend. If your friend, he or she, very happy, enthusiasm, you feel right away. You feel the freshness in that person. You feel the joy on that person. You can feel it, right? Like right now, I can feel myself a little bit nervous. We can feel and recognize everything if our mind in our body. And sometimes the time we need, like our teacher, he taught us. Sometimes we bring the lift close to our bed when we wake up in the morning. That lift reminds us we have many conditions, happy and joy during the day. We have 24 brand new hours waiting for us. We have good condition, like we have a good house. At least we have a house to live. When we go to the garage, we see the car, we feel very good. The car's still there, make us happy. And when we look around, we see our children, our friend, our husband and wife still there for us. We don't have any trouble. That's also a condition of happiness and joy. And we should offer a smile to everyone we see. We should offer a smile to our our one we love. I would like to tell you a story, funny story. I hope it's funny. You know, this happened. Our friend in Canada, he shared a story. This is a real story. It's his story for me. When I went to the Canada to open the retreat, and during the orientation, I just repeat the same what he just what I said. We should recognize the condition of joy and happiness around us, and we should offer a smile to the one we love. We should offer joy and happiness for the one we love. He get it, and he wanted to practice right away. And he went back to his dorm, and he saw his roommate. His roommate just arrived. He arrived late. He missed the orientation. And our friend, like, he really want to offer practice right away. And he looked at that person, and he had a big smile and big kind of welcome. And his roommate like, okay, we go to sleep. And on the next morning, he woke up, he looked at the ceiling, and he said, okay, today I have the 24 brand new hour. Just smile to that. It's a good condition to be happy. He looked at the ceiling and smiled, very big smile. For a while, he turned to his friend, and his friend like sit up and stare at him at something. And he looked at him, he smiled, gave big smile. And his friend like, okay. And he stood up and walked to the restroom, washed his face, and then do clean up, and then look in the mirror. We practice offer a smile. He offered the mirror a smile. That means he offered himself a smile. And he turned out, he saw his roommate stand right there, right at the door of the restroom. And you know what happened. Later on, his roommate went to the registration office and tell the lady down there, I want to change my room. Thank you for supporting. You know, sometimes we start our day with negative thinking, with sadness, long face, hopeless, lonely. We worry a lot, so many things. We worry why the sky is so blue. We worry why the tree have many leaves. Why today is a very beautiful day. We have worried many things. We forgot the condition we have is a joy and happiness. We should change the way we think. Because no matter you suffer, the situation is the same. The sky is still blue. Whatever you worry, the sky is still blue. The tree is still many leaves. The day is still wonderful. Why don't you just change the way you're thinking and enjoy them? You know, sometimes we go to work, like we go to the funeral. We look at our friend, we look at our co-worker, like we look at our enemy. We look at our children like we look at our debt we need to pay off someday. You know, we have a friend here. He shared with us, Rama sharing about how he looked at his friend in his work, co-worker. Something happened, and he and his friend agree. Every time we see each other, we give smile. Yeah. And with me, it's so wonderful. I practice that too. When I look at my brother, I look at my sister, if I don't feel comfortable, I just give a smile to that person. And it's a wonderful practice. You can apply that if you like. I won't say the name, but his name is Richard. Do you know why they call immeasurable mind? Immeasurable mind, that means we have immeasurable suffering. We have suffering. We have joy and happiness. We have a lotus flower. We know down there we have mud. If we don't know how to nourish our happiness will become a suffering. The relationship today, wonderful. If we don't know how to beginning anew, we don't know how to water the good seed on that person will become something you don't want that happen. And you know, I don't know if it's true or not, but they say, if the mother in the house not happy, nobody happy. Is that true? So, see, myself, I recognize I have another condition of happiness. I don't live together with the sister, just the brother only. So that's maybe simple. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. So, the happiness always go together with suffering. Because if we don't know how to nourish our happiness will become suffering. I would like to invite you to listen once after the bell. So I'll continue. You know, the good news is the four elements. In Plum Village, we call that is the element of true love. I say again, this loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. The four elements we call is true love. We practice that. Sorry. If we practice that, we will nourish our happy. We nourish our life, and we make the other, the one we love, happy. And you know, it's good news. Four elements that in you already have it. You don't need to buy in a supermarket. It's just in you. The way to nourish, the way we cultivate that is to practice mindfulness, aware of everything, aware of the way you act, the way you speak, and aware of the way we doing things. And again, the mindfulness is the source of happiness. And that's why they say that. And I'm sure down here, some of you already practice and you already know, you already have experience about that. And you know, the joy and happiness is a little bit different. I think you already know, right? Okay, let me describe my way. I hope I can make you smile a little bit. What different joy and happiness? For example, when the weather is hot and you very thirsty, and you heard the announcement from the bookshop they have ice cream, and you will feel joy, and you get ice cream and you eat ice cream and then you feel happy. Happy is affect body and mind, and joy is affect mostly from our mind. I aware there have many teachers out there look at me when they talk about joy and happiness. I aware of that. So, does that make sense to you? Yeah. So, nourish joy and happiness is very important. Everybody looking for happiness. Everybody looking for joy. And when we know how to cultivate our joy and happiness, we can make the one we love, the one we work with, even our job, become wonderful. And we can make our day become a wonderful day. Our teachers say, today is today's day. We declare today is today's day for us. And I say shortly and easy way, today is my day. Meet you and see you come here to practice, also one good condition for me, to help me to look back the way I practice, how much I can contribute to the Sangha, and how much I can contribute to practice with you. Another joy for me today. And please feel confident. Like I said, everything we say is nothing new. I just repeat it and water the seed in you. You already have it. You don't need to become Thai to practice 60 years to be happy. You can happy right here and right now, like he said. And we can happy right here, right now, if we recognize and enjoy everything we have. Enjoy every condition we have in our hand. How that sound? Can we do it? Yeah, okay. So, one sound of the bell. This time, when you breathe, just aware of your breathing and let your mind recognize all conditions, happy and joy around you. Let the mind do it. We just breathing. when you're happy, the energy of happiness will penetrate around here. And this heart is full of happiness. And when you come back here, you will recognize your energy here. You are the one contribute to this heart a lot of happiness. And when you come back, you will recognize that. And we all together do that. We not do that for just few of us. We do that for our next generation. If you know how to cultivate your happy, your joy, you can transmit that by your body. We call living Dharma. The Dharma not on the paper, not on the book. The Dharma in your body. The way you live, the way you live in your family, you can transmit that to our younger generation. And this heart belongs to everybody, our next generation. And the whole area here, when we walk mindfully, we also make this area become a peaceful area. So next time when our children come back, they feel it. They feel it exactly the same like you. When you come here, you feel it. You feel joyful, you feel peaceful around here. Am I right? Yeah. I hope I'm right. I know I take a lot of time now. I think I would like to pass the microphone to our dear sister. She will continue to share. Our brother and sister here, they know me. I talk too much. So we should stop it. If we have a time, I will say some more. So Thank you. Thank you for listening. So I bring the flower down here because I want to see you.
Dear Thai, dear beloved community, good morning. Good morning, good morning. And thank you, brother, for that joyful and beautiful talk. I love my brother here. He just radiates joy. Now, doesn't he? Come on, let's do some flowers for brother. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, his presence is the Dharma talk. So he doesn't even have to say a word. It's just lovely. So, offering a Dharma talk is not an individual, not solely an individual thing. It is both an individual and a collective matter. So would you be down for co-creating this Dharma talk together? Is how you listen is going to help us create this talk. So a kind of thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. Can I get a thumbs up? Yes, okay, now I feel much better. Okay, so I want to begin with gratitude, flowers, not only for my brother, but for Thai. My brother is an embodiment of our teacher, as we all are. I also want to acknowledge and express gratitude to this extraordinary community that we have here at Blue Cliff. The monks, the nuns, the lay people, the lay friends, all of the people who support us to be here. So I'll share a tiny bit about a recent experience that I had with joy, just a tiny bit. But really, I want to turn most of my attention to equanimity and non-discrimination. So what does that mean? So there's a saying that we teach what we most need to learn, right? We teach what we most need to learn. And so that's another way of saying, I am a beginner. I hold a beginner's mind. I'm learning, so bear with me. So I want to begin with identity, because when we talk about identity, we're talking about complexity. One of my teachers says that it's almost an unbearable amount of complexity when we talk about identity. There's internal, external, there's individual, there's collective. And obviously when we speak of identity, there's also from a dharmic level, non-self. The myriad and myriad and myriad of elements that consists of the non-self when we speak of self. And again, on a dharmic level, when we speak of self in the historical dimension, the historical person that we are, and the ultimate dimension, that we are more than this body. So in terms of identity, I am a volunteer. I'm a volunteer gardener in my community. I grow garlic. And so I just harvested some lovely garlic just last month in July. And so roots are very important to me. And when we speak of identity, of course, we're speaking about where things come from. And so I want to acknowledge that the roots of the Plum Village practice come from the Vietnamese people and the Vietnamese culture. And so I have a tremendous amount of gratitude and appreciation. And of course, when I speak of culture, I also need to express a kind of cultural humility. There's a lot that I don't know. So identity. I want to begin by acknowledging, my Afro-Cuban roots. I was born in the People's Republic of Brooklyn, which means, yes, that there's a kind of edginess, assertiveness it's just kind of like part of my DNA, like the Cuban part of my DNA has a kind of warmth and passion. That's just the way it is. So I also identify as a woman, able-bodied. I come from a poverty background, low-income background. But today I'm in what you would call, I guess, mixed socioeconomic background. And that was as the result of academic scholarships that allowed me to advance my studies, and I'm very grateful for that, and also grateful for the many, many people that helped me along the way. I also claim the identity of a child of immigrants, and I know that there are many people here that also claim that identity. So growing up in Brooklyn, I grew up with a lot of violence, with a lot of poverty. So like many people, I did a lot of running. I ran from Brooklyn to undergraduate school, and undergraduate school to grad school, and grad school to law school, and law school to the kind of big and important job, as a lobbyist and a lawyer. And so I schooled myself in really postponing joy. I kept saying, well, once I get this degree, then I'll chill. Or once I get, the partner or the house or the whatever, then I can relax, right? Then I can feel great. So our teacher, as Brother has pointed out, teaches some very simple things, like to pay attention to our breathing, to notice we have the blue sky, that we have beautiful green trees and green grass. Well, simple has become the new difficult, right? In our overstressed, overbusy life, this can be a very hard thing to do. So here's the story. So because I have the habit of running a lot, I was running one day to a meeting, and I was running late. And it was an important meeting, so I arrived, and I arrived late. And the door to the meeting was closed, shut, so I couldn't go in. So I was like in a real funk, and I sort of just plopped myself down on a chair that was outside the meeting room. And so underneath my feet, I was kind of like ruminating about, here you go again, rushing and missing stuff, and looking for something outside of yourself, that kind of language. So I looked down at my feet, at this piece of paper, picked it up, turned it around. It was a bumper sticker. Here's what it said. I'd like the camera to zoom in on this one. It said, "Don't postpone joy." Don't postpone joy, right? That was the message right under my feet. Isn't that cool? Yeah, that's just like, how did that happen? So, this is a training. This is practice. So joy, we must turn toward joy. Joy is a pivot. It is the mark of a generous personality. The person who has joy is like the sun in a community. They shine very brightly. So this is the practice, to practice joy. So, equanimity? Yeah? Okay, equanimity. So last night I was doing some research, and Webster says that equanimity is, the conventional meaning of equanimity is a mental calmness, even-temperedness, especially in difficult situations, right? It is not grasping at stuff, nor is it pushing away. On a dharmic level, when we speak of equanimity, it's kind of a paradox. It means both a letting go and a kind of inclusiveness. So that's what we mean by equanimity. So when I passed the New Jersey Bar exam, I had no intention of teaching mindfulness to anybody. My intention was pretty crass. It was kind of like to get out of Brooklyn, make money, move on with my life. But I found myself in this very big and important job as a lobbyist representing educational institutions and college presidents and boards of trustees. So the big and important job was anything but calm, right? It was high pressure, high stakes, high demands. And so to deal with the stress of my work, I turned to meditation and, started practicing. And I went to my first Dharma talk given by Thich Nhat Hanh in 1995. He was at the Riverside Church, and he, was speaking about mindful breathing and calming ourselves and living a spacious life and all the things that our teacher so beautifully speaks about. Well, that was the opposite of the way I was living. And I walked out of there thinking, ooh, what's the matter with him, and kind of kept on about my business. But I had a wake-up call. So I had a particularly stressful time at work, and I decided to take myself on a vacation, on a hiking vacation, which many people do. So I went to one of my favorite places in New Mexico, climbed up to the top of a very big hill. I took off my backpack and I set it down. And I opened up my sandwich, and I was just looking up at the sky. And I think for the very first time in my life, I actually noticed that the clouds move, And you might say, well, they kind of do that. But for me, I was so much on the run. I was so busy, so important. I was alienated, not only, thank you for turning that down, not only from the natural world, but I was also alienated from myself. But that was an important moment because it set me on a path to start looking deeply at my lifestyle, how I was living. So I began to practice mindful breathing, noticing that probably most of the time I wasn't even breathing. I was holding my breath, waiting for paper to come out of the copier machine or something like that. I began practicing metta, practicing loving kindness. May I be happy. May I be safe. I actually focused my metta practice on myself, not in a narcissistic way, but because I was so hard on myself, I thought, well, if I could have a sense of compassion and love and care and friendship to myself, maybe I could extend that to other people. And I realized that being hard on myself was something I inherited. It was also handed down to me from my parents and from their parents and on and on. I began practicing eating mindfully, paying attention. So I trained myself to just eat. That's it, just to eat. And so very slowly, very gradually, I began to regain a sense of balance, maybe a balance that I never had before. Long story short, I was able to leave the big and demanding job, and now my work is working with school leaders all over the country to offer mindfulness to not only the leadership and the teachers in school, but to the students and to build mindful communities in school. So we know that school leaders face overwhelm, right? Their life is anything but calm. Everything is urgent, and stress and busyness is the new normal. So I had one school leader who said to me, the moment my eyes open in the morning, it's like I'm shot out of bed like a cannon, and I keep going until I collapse in bed at night. Does that sound familiar to anybody? And then I had another school leader who said, my young scholars are everything to me, everything. But that particular school leader, his lifestyle was, I guess you would say it, non-sustainable for the long haul of leadership. He ate from the vending machine every day, never left the school building, hardly slept at night. So you know, I don't have to tell you about that kind of lifestyle. And its effects on how do we live a balanced life in a stressful situation. So the practice of equanimity is first the practice of becoming human. To be an educator is to be a human being first. To be an educator is to be a human being first. And during this retreat, we have practiced what it's like to be a human being. To notice that we have a breath, that we can breathe, that we can walk and like a free person, you know, enjoying that moment. So, shall we practice mindful breath together? Thank you. Thank you. So I have a question for you. How do you cultivate equanimity, a sense of balance in your own life? How do you cultivate equanimity and balance in your own life? So I'm just doing this on the spot, like I didn't plan this. But I'd invite you to turn to the person next to you and just share for like 2 minutes. Person on your left or the person on your right. How do you cultivate equanimity when you go back home? What do you do? What can you do? What have you learned here that might be useful for you? And for those who arrived today, you know, what are the practices that help you regain a sense of balance? So we'll be the timekeeper. Don't worry about that. Just a couple minutes. Like 1-2 minutes. Do you have the fan?
Okay, say it again the question.
How do you practice equanimity?
Practice. I think equanimity is the first. What I'll do is I look at myself, make by non-self element. And when I look at the other person, I see the steam and make non-self element. And like I told you, my father in Vietnam in jail 10 years because he worked for the South of Vietnam before 1975. And I learned that from our teachers, we need the other side understand us. That's why I came with our teacher to Vietnam 3 times. I see a lot, and we can help them by practice with them, open the retreat, and let them know, like they said, our humans not our enemy. That's why. And I can look at them. I look at the people I think they put my father in jail like 10 years. I can understand them a little bit. I can understand them. Not only them, because our small country has become a playground for many big countries that play together. And you know, right now, they're not a communist anymore. They say they will fight to protect their communists, protect their people, but they're not a communist.
Thank you. My practice is looking at clouds. You know, every day I look at clouds. Every day. Yeah. I see the non-self element of clouds.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. So maybe we could just hear from a few people about what came up for you. Just speak it out. Yes, please. You want to make it brief. So setting a bell of mindfulness to remember to return to a kind of equanimity, a kind of balance. Thank you. Maybe one more. Anyone, maybe on this side. Yes, please. Julie.
Someone said if I'm not going to say their name, so I heard, oh, hi. So the phrase that is now like triple shared is the connect, not correct. And I really like that. That really helped me to have that intention to listen, and that, you know, I can listen to you, but it's not my responsibility to fix your suffering.
Yeah, so training ourselves to not to fix, save, advise, or rescue other people. This is a very deep practice. So thank you. Thank you for that. And clearly we could keep going. That could be our whole Dharma talk, right? Yeah. So just a little bit more. Dr. Dan Siegel, I think he's a neuroscientist or a neuropsychologist or something like that. Anyway, he's a big shot, Dan Siegel. And he's come up with this I guess, process. he calls it the healthy mind platter. And, you know, so you look at a dinner plate, and this is about balance. So Dan Siegel says, look at your life like a dinner plate. There should be physical time, sleep time, focus time, downtime, you know, time to disconnect and to integrate. How about playtime, right? Connecting time, time in, he says, time to reflect, for reflection, for attunement. We know that from the research that one of the major concerns within the United States for school leaders, school principals, is isolation, principal isolation, and lack of time for reflection. There's tremendous amount of research on both of those topics. So it's very hard to extend equanimity to other people if we don't have it ourselves. It's very hard to be a calm presence, to have generous assumptions, you know, to operate in that way if we do not embody that ourselves. So this is really about setting aside time for practice every day. So I want to turn to the second element of equanimity from the Dharmic perspective, and that is inclusiveness. So once we have space within ourselves, right? Once we have space within ourselves, once we are calm within ourselves, then we can share that calm and that peace and that friendship and that love with other people. But it begins with us. So, in the United States, I'm sorry I don't have statistics for other countries. I'm aware that there are people from other countries here. But in the United States, over half of the public school students are now students of color, over half. And that number will continue to grow. In the United States, students of color and low-income students are adversely affected by nearly every measure of well-being: educational, social, financial, emotional, physical. This affects students' ability to be prepared to learn. If you're hungry, it's really hard to focus and concentrate. In the United States, we provide fewer resources to students of color and low-income students. These students receive less funding, fewer enrichment programs, and less rigorous coursework. And I could go on and on. So I was one of those students. I am one of those students. You are one of those students. So please call me by my true name. I grew up in poverty. My mother was a maid. She was a single parent. I left home at 18 to support myself. I got a job at Burger King. I rented a room. I was able to go to college because it was free. Please call me by my true name. We are deeply interconnected. What happens to our students happens to us. They are affected by us and we are affected by them. So how can we as educators prepare ourselves to support our students if we are unbalanced, if we are stressed out? So the activist and Quaker and educator Parker Palmer says we must have the courage to teach. That takes courage to teach. This means cultivating the inner life of the teacher, the leader. This means understanding who we are. You know, in education we ask what, we ask why, we ask how. We seldom ask who. Who is the person? And so part of our practice is cultivating the who. Understanding ourselves with all of the practices that we've shared here. Learning, teaching doesn't happen in a vacuum. It is based on our deepest values. We cannot teach if there is a lack of physical and emotional safety. So all of this means that we need to move. We need to move at the speed of trust, and that is a human pace. We need to move at the speed of trust. So kindness matters, love matters, compassion matters, all of that matters. So I want to leave you with Thai's beautiful words from Happy Teachers Change the World. Here's what he said. Our mission as teachers is not just to transmit knowledge, but to form human beings, to construct a worthy, beautiful human race in order to care for our precious planet. Our mission as teachers is not to transmit knowledge, but to form human beings, to construct a worthy, beautiful human race in order to take care of our precious planet. So thank you.
So thank you very much for listening to us and helping us, encourage us to have a talk today. And thank you everyone to come and practice with us today of mindfulness. And we will have some announcement. And the last one is I would like to thank our good friend here, Valerie. Thank you. Yeah, you make our day, right? Yeah.